Last week, I published a video where I gave my initial impressions of ChatGPT. And a week later, I felt I needed to make another video where I challenged doctors and professionals to start using ChatGPT now, like right now. My name is Dr. Rich Hillsden, and you're watching my channel, Knife Skills. Today, we're going to talk about the many reasons why I think ChatGPT should be used by doctors and professionals in their current practice right now. But don't forget to stick around to the end because I'm going to discuss some of the limitations, which I think are equally important. But first, what is ChatGPT? By going to chat.openai.com, you have access to a natural text-based language interface. This uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to interact with you as the user in a very similar way as you would when you're interacting with a human. Its responses seem creative, and I think this is what makes the internet so excited about this particular advance. When I started my practice, I remember patients were beginning to use WebMD and Google to look up their symptoms, and doctors had to adapt to a patient that was more educated. And I think actually some of the same changes are going to be happening as artificial intelligence becomes more and more available to the public. We as healthcare providers are going to have to adapt to this new accessibility of knowledge to everyone. Artificial intelligence is here, and your competitors are going to use it. Whether it's another lawyer or doctor or someone else in your field, they're going to be taking advantage of these new tools. So if you don't learn how to use them yourself, you'll be left behind. There's an interesting issue with artificial intelligence interfaces, and something I've encountered as I've used it more over the past week is that it does require a bit of a skill to get the outputs you want. This is something that people talk about when they discuss AI alignment, the idea of getting an artificial intelligence to perform the task that you want. And I think using these tools is in and of itself a skill. Just how someone who has excellent skills at using the internet can have a competitive advantage in their job, someone who can use these AI tools can have a competitive advantage in their professional life. But also think about the role that it plays to level the playing field. There are different training levels across all professional fields. And there's some people who have 10 plus years of training that work in a similar area compared to someone with maybe 2 years of training. Tools like ChatGPT can start to level the playing field between those who have those extensive long years of training and those who have much less. So if you find yourself in either category, I think it's critical that you actually use tools like ChatGPT as part of your practice. One similar experience comes to mind. When I was an MBA student, our class went to a Toyota plant to see some of the productivity advances that they were making. And I was impressed by two things. Number one, how many robots were building cars, but also how many people were in the Toyota plant working. These were people who were setting up the robots, maintaining the robots, repairing them, supervising the quality. So you could see how the robots were doing the bulk of the heavy work, but there were still many, many jobs as this new technology has emerged. Well, artificial intelligence will be the same way. Our jobs will change with tools like ChatGPT. There'll be new challenges, and those that can adapt to the fact that these technologies are emerging in our fields will have an advantage. So those of you watching this video, I'd like to give you really 4 specific use cases for ChatGPT right now if you're a doctor or a medical student. Number 1, looking up medical information. Actually, this would be one of the stronger areas for ChatGPT. It has excellent general knowledge and will provide good answers pretty consistently. That being said, compared to things like Google search or even Wikipedia, ChatGPT doesn't offer much of an additional advantage, except for maybe the natural language and conversational approach, which I think is good and enjoyable to use. Number 2, summarizing medical literature. So one task that I found very useful for ChatGPT is I could find a journal article, paste the article into ChatGPT, and ask for a summary. If you go to my Google Scholar here and you pick a journal article that I recently published, put it into ChatGPT, and its summary is almost identical to my very own abstract. So you can see how this is potentially very useful for a doctor who needs to summarize large volumes of information. Number 3, analyzing a data set. So ChatGPT isn't strong as Excel, for example, but you can place a data set into ChatGPT and ask it to do some basic statistics. I had some data that I wanted to know the mean and the variance. ChatGPT was very simple. I just copy and pasted the data set in, asked for a few results, and it actually gave me something that I could use to go ahead and calculate things like a sample size for a project that I was working on. Number 4, improvement in writing. So I'm really not the best writer. I struggle with grammar and spelling and those types of issues. By placing a paragraph into ChatGPT, I can ask for it to improve the grammar. It can also increase or decrease the readability of that paragraph depending on how you want it to sound. So you can ask ChatGPT, for example, write this paragraph or rewrite this paragraph in the tone of a medical textbook, or write this paragraph so it's readable at a grade 4 level. So after using ChatGPT for a bit more than a week, I now have a better understanding of its limitations. First and most obvious, it can give incorrect answers. Now, I was playing around with the program and I went and tried to stump it. I eventually settled on the problem of Hasselbeck's triangle. It gave me a response that described that anatomical area in absolute terms, left, right, up, down, when in reality, we need those terms in relative terms. The correct answer is inferior, superior, medial, lateral. And so from a perspective of someone trying to learn about Hasselbeck's triangle, that response was incorrect. But I should also say it took a lot of time for me to actually stump ChatGPT. Number 2 is speed. So you'll find that you'll get occasional network errors or a response like there's too many queries, you're typing too fast. So right now, ChatGPT is slower than other tools like say Wikipedia or Google. And so that would be a limitation of your use on a day-to-day basis. When we're in the clinic or seeing patients or dealing with something in the emergency department, we want a fast response. And so ChatGPT isn't quite there yet. Number 3, it has no web crawling ability and no ability to tell you its sources of information. And I think this is huge. As a doctor, you need to know the quality of your sources, and Google searches and Wikipedia do an excellent job of this. Google directs you to the original source, so you know where it's coming from. And Wikipedia at the least cites the sources or tries to, and that's very useful. Whereas ChatGPT, if you were to ask it, well, where did you get that information? It'll tell you, I can't search the web and I can't tell you my source, which is a massive limitation when you're thinking about knowledge-based professional skills. Number 4, it won't give certain answers. And this is really relevant in medicine. It will almost kind of throttle back its recommendations, which you can imagine is intentional by its programmers. You see, if Google gives you a response, they're directing you to the original source and they can say, well, we're not really responsible for that result. But ChatGPT doesn't do this. It's giving you the information, not providing you the sources. So arguably, it is the source. And if you're OpenAI, you might be concerned that someone might go and act on the information provided by ChatGPT, and there could be a bad outcome. And that would open them up to being sued. So they've intentionally throttled back the answers, provided caveats when it's giving you the answers, and that's a limitation. Number 5, and strangely, ChatGPT makes very basic math errors. This has happened to me a number of times where ChatGPT has literally made an error on division or multiplication. Now, if you're a computer user, this is shocking. The one thing that we've learned that computers are reliable is that if you give them a good math input, you're going to get a correct answer back. Math error from a computer is actually shocking and quite disturbing. So noticing that ChatGPT will occasionally make a math error is disconcerting, especially if you're going to be using it for data analysis, which is one of the things that I considered using ChatGPT as a tool for today. Artificial intelligence is here and available to everyone. And I think those people who fail to adapt to new technologies are at risk of being replaced. So that's why I encourage you, if you're watching this video and you're a medical professional, to go to chat.openai.com and start practicing and using these tools. They're going to become part of our practice, whether we like it or not. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I appreciate every single like and subscribe. I make these videos because of the interactions that I have with you on my channel. If you have any use cases for ChatGPT for medical professionals, I'd love to see those in the comments below. And once again, thanks for watching and have a great day.